Hello.
Yeah.
This is really exciting. I wanted to ask you about two things that you kind of have been speaking about, allowing and getting the music to match the words. Because
We'll just be really brief. You can tell what you're emanating by the way you feel. Let's just start here for a moment. Do you mind if we just lay a little basis? So your inner being is a strong component of who you are, and your inner being has a point of attraction from no resistance. In other words, your inner being has no resistance. So imagine how powerful that attraction is when there's no resistance mixed in to slow it down. So your inner being is attracting really powerfully on your behalf the things that you've been asking for. So the way you feel in any moment in time is about the way law of attraction is responding to your inner being, and the way law of attraction is responding to you. If you are, because of the attitude that you've adopted deliberately, if you are in sync with your inner being, like meditation, you're not competing or resisting, then you and your inner being are both standing in this powerful place of attraction, and things are coming to you with speed and clarity and accuracy and satisfaction. But anytime you feel some sort of negative emotion, that means that your energy is split, and while your inner being is still attracting on your behalf, you're not letting it in, you're not allowing it. And so doesn't it seem logical that the first order of business would be to get over here in sync with where all the power is? Yeah?
Yeah.
And anything else seems sort of illogical.
Yeah. So on that, how do I reduce the resistance and allow go more downstream with that?
By finding ways to be resistance free. And that means first knowing what the feeling of resistance feels like negative emotion, knowing what the feeling of alignment feels like love or satisfaction, and then doing your best to guide your thoughts into good feeling places. But the most significant success about that will come if you get out ahead of it. That's why we're encouraging segment intending, thinking about what you want in a segment, how you want to feel in a segment, and isolating what that feeling feels like before you get the email that says the printer truck hit the tree. If you're already in a worrisome place and you hear that, then you've got no sea legs, you've got no shock absorbers, and you're going to have a strong negative reaction to it that could take all day and maybe longer to get over. Because the worse it gets, the worse it gets, the worse it gets, the worse it gets, the worse it gets. Because the law of attraction is relentless, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
So ask your question again.
So what I sort of mean is, like, sometimes when I'm not trying to allow things is when it all is allowed, if that makes sense.
So what you're saying is sometimes, pretty often in fact, when you're focusing on something you want to allow, you must be focusing upon the need to allow it or the absence of the thing that you want to allow. So well-meaning as you are introducing the absence of it into the equation. So you are therefore sticking the stick in the wheels and therefore slowing it down. So just don't do that.
Okay.
But it's easier said than done.
Exactly.
You just have to notice when you're doing it and acknowledge it, be clear about it, and don't be mean to yourself when you have negative emotion. Negative emotion doesn't mean you're wrong or you're incorrect or you're bad. Negative emotion means you have a residual of a thought that is resistant in nature that your inner being doesn't share. That's all it means. And so you could stop for a moment and think about why your inner being doesn't share it. Or you could just say, well, I'll just think about that later, or maybe I won't think about it at all. Or maybe if you catch it early enough, you can think another thought that your inner being does share. Do you understand that in every moment that you exist in your physical body, that this source energy part of you is aware of you and what you're thinking? The subject of your thought is the subject of your inner being's thought. But every thought subject is like a stick with wanted on one end and absence of what is wanted on the other end of it. And your inner being, as it is joining you in that thought, is always on the what you want end of the stick. If you're on the what you want end of the stick, then you're having a pleasant thought. Esther just loves it when she finds her mind wandering in these pleasant thoughts. They're not monumental thoughts. They're not anything to write home about. They're not things that maybe anybody else would be interested in. Just really pleasant thoughts. And she realizes, oh, I'm really in sync with my inner being as I think about that. In other words, she and her inner being had a mutual consideration for that centipede. A mutual consideration. Esther didn't feel one bit afraid of the centipede. She just saw it and liked it and acknowledged its beauty and its speed. And she liked playing with it. She liked co-creating with it. She put her little stick down there in the band, and it crawled right in. She said, oh, you must not see very well. You came right where I wanted you to go. Well, the centipede really didn't want to be inside either. There was not one thing to eat in that whole house for the centipede or Esther. There's nothing there. And so she just put it outside. It was such a lovely moment in time, you see, because she saw the centipede through the eyes of Source. And the centipede is Source. A poisonous centipede, really? A poisonous centipede? Seems more like the devil. Pure positive energy. Little poisonous centipede. Big, long, poisonous centipede. Fast-moving poisonous centipede. You just got to decide through what eyes you want to look. And as you play with that a little bit, you begin to discover that instead of fear, you have confidence. And instead of confusion, you have clarity. And instead of yearning, you have knowing. And instead of hate, you have love. That's really what your quest is about everything anyway, isn't it? Is it boring? Is it boring to be tuned in? There's not much drama in connection. The drama is what put everything you want over there. You had lots of step one moments, and we'll have more. That's a good thing. Those step one moments are a wonderful thing. But in answer to your question, what was it again?
Just allowing.
How to allow?
To remove the resistance and be...
Can't remove resistance. Can't remove it. Can't get rid of that thing you're giving your attention to. You just got to choose the other end of the stick. And you have the capacity to do that, don't you? We know. We're talking about this a lot. Here is a poisonous centipede. Giant, poisonous Texas centipede. Also, a really beautiful thing. Really beautiful color. Incredibly well engineered. And fun to see something that you've never seen before. Fun to get to play with it from a distance. Esther didn't pick it up. She didn't say, crawl onto my hand. She's not that evolved. She just put her safe little stick down there. Kept herself in alignment. In other words, that might have thrown her out of alignment. If she had waken up and there it was across her face like a mustache. Yeah. That was just the perfect engagement for Esther with that centipede, wasn't it? It played with her and she played with it in a way that didn't upset anybody's apple cart. It didn't have to die. She told the gardener, look what I found. And he said, whoa, you should kill that. And Esther said, run, centipede, run, run, run. Run. Disappeared right into the rocks. Esther said, leave him alone. Let him be. Enough? We really get there? It's all in the way you decide to look at it. Do you know that anything that you perceive, it's not what you see, it's the vibrational stance from which you see it. And so what we're asking of you is don't ask the world to change so that you can just blunder around and bumble on it and like what you see. Tune yourself so that you see what you want to see. Most of the world needs the world to change. And so from their place of disconnection, they're making all kinds of rules and requirements that they can't enforce. What comes out of it is a sense of insecurity because it's too much to control. Where when you realize the only thing that you would be prudent to control is your own point of attraction. And your own point of attraction is easy to understand because your emotions give you the indication of how you're doing. It's too simple, isn't it?
Yes.
Enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right here.